This is Center Stage, putting lawyers in the spotlight by highlighting attorneys and other industry experts to help take your law firm to the next level. Hey everyone, and welcome to Center Stage. I am your host, John Henson, and this week I have attorney Daniel Alvarez with us. Daniel, how are you doing today?
I am doing great, John. How about you?
Doing great. So this week we are going to talk about the power of networking for attorneys. Some people might think that this is kind of a lost art now that we've kind of gone into this digital age, but I know we believe this at Spotlight Branding. Daniel, you're clearly very passionate about it, that networking is still really important for attorneys, just not just as part of their marketing strategy, but just overall. So, Daniel, before we jump in, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody? Tell us a little about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Daniel Alvarez. I'm an attorney down here in Miami, Florida. I've been practicing for 13 years now. And the largest portion of our practice is to do insurance litigation. So your home catches on fire, your insurance company denies your claim, or the company the law firm that you go to try to fight that denial. We do have some other practices in our office that deal with other things because I do have other attorneys, but that's primarily my thing. So yeah, like I said, been doing this for 13 years. Been trying to network and create business for almost as many.
Awesome. So in today's legal world, why is networking still so very important for attorneys?
Not all of your clients are going to be as sophisticated as, like, number one, the vast majority of issues that are going to come up are not going to go to these like giant law firms that have huge marketing departments that are known for getting the word out there on anything that needs to be done. The vast majority of attorneys throughout the U.S. are small firms like myself, 1 to 4 attorneys that handle a very particular set of issues that need to be resolved by a person. So because vast majority of attorneys are so small in their practice, they do need to make sure that they get out there and meet other people that they can tell them about their services. So whether that be other attorneys that don't do what you do, or whether that be centers of influence that could refer you future business, the only way that you're going to get out there and meet them, unless you are, doing tremendous advertising on TV or billboards or mail or those types of things, it's going to be still through regular networking. Right now with COVID, we're not doing very much in person, but
right.
The whole gist of it is the same, right? You want to meet people that are going to be able to refer you business and that I think you have something to add of value to their clients.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I mean, how often should an attorney, especially a solo or a small firm attorney like you, how often should you be networking in order to keep a kind of a constant flow of business coming in?
At the very least, I think you would need to be devoting on a weekly basis somewhere between 5 to 10 hours of networking of some sort, right? So, for example, I'll give just my example. I'm a member of a networking group that I'm sure other people are aware of, BNI, Business Networking International. That's an hour and a half a week that we meet together with those people. But then outside of that, I'll meet with the same members for another hour or so, once or twice a week with different members of the group, just kind of letting them know more about what we do. So right there, you're looking at around 2.5 to 3.5 hours that you've done just of your regular networking. During non-COVID times, that also involved, once a week or so going to some other networking event. Maybe it was an industry event where you're trying to meet other colleagues, or maybe it was some sort of like a chamber of commerce or similar event where, again, you can meet other centers of influence or even other attorneys that can refer you business in the practice area that you have, because most attorneys are smaller firms, and they're not going to be able to take all business. They're going to be able to relay some of that to you.
Yeah. So, you've mentioned COVID a couple of times, probably before that, 2020 in 19 and before, you were probably doing a lot of in-person networking mixers and in-person meetings and stuff like that. So how has networking changed over the last year when a lot of those in-person things have been unavailable?
So personally, for me, we've kind of doubled down on reaching out to our existing clients, or our existing centers of influence that can refer us business. So while I may not be going out to doing events, I am doubling down on reaching out to the same people that already refer us work because they already know us and trust us, um, to ensure that they continue to know, hey, I am still doing this, or hey, there's this pressing legal question. I wanted to tell you more about it. Um, eh, Basically, just to stay at the top of mind with them so that they know that I'm still here, both to service them and their clients, or sometimes it's literally just to answer a simple question like, do you know somebody that can help with a PPP loan? Simple things like that. So for
Right.
me, it's been more about doubling down on the existing clients and centers of influence to ensure that they know that I'm still here, that my firm is still running, and that we can continue to help them going forward.
Yeah. So, if I kind of heard you right, networking, maybe now and maybe even before COVID, it's so much more than just going to an event. Networking can also just be following up with those people. Is what other sorts of strategies are there for networking outside of, just those standard, Chamber of Commerce BNI meetings?
I mean, you could do it's something I've done before is work with some not-for-profits. You tend to find people there that are like-minded, and they, because you're both working towards a common goal, they see how you're working on the particular uh, thing that you're working on, say a food drive, and they see how you're organized, and they see how you're um, how you're delivering where you say you're going to deliver about that particular nonprofit. And they might say, oh, well, maybe if he does it like this for something that's for free, well, he might do the same if he's doing it for his job. So that's an easy way to develop some additional networking opportunities, working through some nonprofits, simple things like food drives, or just getting the word about particular events that they may be holding, to others that may be interested. That's another easy way to network with like-minded individuals that could generate business for you.
Yeah. And one of the things that we try to stress to our clients, in terms of networking is it could just open up so many more opportunities for you, whether it's, they invite you to come speak somewhere, maybe they invite you to be on a podcast, stuff like that. And so,
Yeah.
outside of just, getting referrals and stuff, you could be introduced to a whole new audience that could use your services or your expertise in some way. So when it comes to your own networking strategy, what sorts of, I guess techniques or strategies or whatever have you found to be most effective with your networking?
I think the most effective strategy is you don't want to sell somebody on your business from the moment you meet them. Okay. You find in a lot of networking events, uh, the whole purpose of a person being there is to literally just to hand you their business card and tell you all about how wonderful they are or their business is.
Yeah.
While that may work for some, I have found that that's not how I've gotten the greatest of return on my networking dollar. For me, it's more important to build a relationship with the person, because, as you said, John, it's not always going to be about a referral for business. It sometimes it's just going to be about opening up doors, maybe not even to something you're considering. So I'll give you just a very brief example. In addition to being an attorney, I have several um, investment properties that I own. I only found out about that through a person that I met that was doing a similar thing. We weren't even talking about business. We were just at a networking event, having, I think we were eating chicken wings, if I'm not mistaken. Chicken wing, for whatever reason. That's not the greatest of networking events, but that's neither here nor there. And we just started talking about what he does as a side business. He buys properties, he fixes them up, he'll sell them or he'll keep them. And I was like, man, that's actually pretty interesting. Absolutely nothing to do with my business currently, but It was something interesting. It was something that he opened my eyes to. That then I started doing some research on my own, and then eventually, like me and that person were talking on a regular basis about how to possibly build that as a side business, so that when having something to supplement your income. So again, this goes back to just you don't want to just go in and sell your services. You really want to try to build that relationship because that's what's going to stand the test of time. You're always going to have somebody that's cheaper, or is going to try to outcut you on price. So what are you going to offer to your clients of value that is over and above what that other person can offer in price? And if you could differentiate yourself that way, then that client's going to continue the business. But even if it's not about business, even like you said, sometimes it's just going to be about them opening up a door for you that you didn't even know you were looking for. So that's why I think that just building a relationship is a lot more important than just trying to sell your business.
Yeah. And obviously, a great way to build that relationship is keeping in touch with them on a regular basis, whether that's, through repeated interactions in person or at networking events, or, as kind of where we come in at Spotlight Branding is just, getting them, in your marketing funnels, in your marketing loops and stuff like that, and keeping in touch with them that way, and just continuing to educate them on who you are and how you can help. Because I mean, I'm sure, whether you've noticed it, consciously or not, it's easy to forget the people that you met the first time at a networking event. You're sitting there maybe at your desk scrolling through the business cards that you got, and you're trying to remember, who was this guy? What did he do? And then, you have to do a little digging, and then, oh yeah, that's right, he was that guy. So yeah, that sort of thing is still super important. One more question, and what would you estimate, kind of a percentage wise of your business sort of results from your networking efforts?
We don't run any like advertising. So in some way or another, it's almost 100% networking based. Um, because sometimes it's not the direct person that but it's somebody that they know
Right.
that refers you, or it's somebody that you've worked for that you thought you did a good job, and then continues to refer you business. And that's going back to what you guys do. I think that's why I kind of bought into what you guys are selling, so to speak,
Right.
in the whole content um, business, because what that does is remind people constantly of what it is that you do. Whether it be through blogs or newsletters or Twitter or Facebook. Um, that constantly keeps them top of mind, reminds them that you're a subject matter expert on whatever that subject might be. And then in the future, they might turn to you and say, "Oh, well, Danny can help you with X." Just to give you asked earlier about what other sorts of networking you're doing, and I mentioned, I mentioned, non-for-profits. One other thing I'm doing is through finding industry-specific groups on Facebook
Yeah.
that you can share knowledge with, right? So again, going back to not so much selling your services, but selling the relationship. If you have somebody that knows that they can turn to you for a particular subject, and you're going to have knowledge about it, or at the very least, you're going to have a very good introduction to the subject, you're a lot more likely to at least get a call. And maybe you can't help them. Maybe it just turns that you refer them to something else, to somebody else in the business that can help them. But at the very least, they're going to know that if they go to you, they have a high likelihood of getting that information. So that's where blog posts come in, and things that you can share that are content that people can turn to, and kind of remind them of what it is that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that content is basically there to, sort of represent you when you're not there at that moment to demonstrate that expertise. And, that's such a great point, in at least in the COVID era, and really just in this digital world that we live in, networking is so much more than those in-person BNI meetings and stuff like that. It's those Facebook groups and stuff like that, where you can get out there and show off that expertise and be that source of good information without constantly self-promoting. And so that's really awesome. So we will start wrapping it up here. If you could give one piece of advice to all of the attorneys out there, what would it be?
Especially the attorneys that don't have a kind of legacy from a family member,
Mhm.
that can pass on some context from start networking before you even become an attorney. There are great opportunities for people that are in law school to work through the American Bar Association or in your local bar association in whatever city or county you're going to school in. Start going to those events, or even doing the digital events or the knowledge panels or something like that, because you start building that brand with the people that can help you in the future. And again, it might not be direct in the sense of getting business, but it might be that you need a job and now somebody knows somebody that's hiring. And now they've dealt with you on a personal level on other things. And that can help you a long way towards building your career as an attorney. So yeah, number one advice to both young attorneys and people that are starting is get in and start doing networking as soon as you can. It only builds up on each other.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. It's still super valuable, more valuable today probably than it ever has been. So Daniel, thank you so much for your time today, for your expertise. Really do appreciate it. Thank you all for continuing to listen, continue to rate, review us on Apple Podcasts and wherever else you're watching the show, whether it's on YouTube or on your mobile device, downloading it, Spotify, wherever you get it. Thank you again. Thank you, Daniel, for everything and for coming on the show. And we will see you all next week. Thanks for listening. To learn more, go to spotlightbranding.com/center stage.